Ben Brown was either a number 7 prospect or a number 26 prospect. They flipped him for David Robertson to the Cubs, which ultimately I think is still a good trade. But Logan O'Hoppe, I found it very interesting, was traded for a guy with potential, not a guy that is a proven Major League Baseball commodity. That's my issue with the trade. I didn't like that trade. I thought it was a very weak trade. And I know there's other publications out there that are saying this is a great trade for the Phillies. I know the guys on MLB Network were questioning it. I was following it all day yesterday. But for me, it's not about Logan O'Hoppe and just that talent level and what he means to the Phillies, as in him being blocked by JT Realmuto. Had a bit of a back and forth yesterday with my friend Kevin Cooney, a great longtime writer in Philadelphia, about why this move was a bad move. And he thought it was a good move because you have Logan O'Hoppe blocked here in Philadelphia. That shouldn't matter in this trade. It should matter the value that player, Logan O'Hoppe, will have in his destination, what he means to that other team, his value on the market. Now, I don't think that Logan O'Hoppe is going to be some Hall of Fame catcher. I don't have a problem with giving up prospects if that means you're getting somebody who is a proven MLB commodity. For instance, if you would have packaged maybe Ben Brown and Logan O'Hoppe and maybe some other pieces and try to get a guy like Carlos Rodon, I think that's a much better trade. I don't know if that trade was out there. And yes, I would talk about Andrew Painter in that scenario. I would talk about Mick Abel in that scenario. So I don't have a problem with giving up prospects if you're getting a proven commodity. My problem is you're giving up a prospect who's 2 years younger than the guy that you got. You're giving up that prospect for a guy that's still looking to reach potential. You're bringing in a guy in Brandon Marsh who is supposed to be a great Major League upgrade when it comes to defensive ability in center field, and a guy who doesn't really do much for you at the plate. If he was a complete player, if he was the slam dunk future center fielder, I would absolutely get it. Now, as the trades go on. So that was the one move I looked at yesterday and went, really? Interesting. And then they make a trade to bolster their bullpen. They bring in David Robertson for a second go-around with the Philadelphia Phillies. First time, it really didn't go so well. This time around, he's back to being one of the best bullpen arms in baseball. He's back to being a great acquisition for the back end of your bullpen. He'll mostly take over a big portion of the closer role. And now you're going to have a guy like Brad Hand, you're going to have Sir Anthony Dominguez, and you're going to have David Robertson. This is a great move by the Phillies. This was probably their most substantial move that they made at the deadline. And then, of course, they bring in a guy like Noah Syndergaard, who, if all goes well, will compete for the third starter's job in the Phillies rotation come playoff time. Now, if all goes well. Now, our friend Corey Simon at NBC Sports Philadelphia points out that he has only started on 5 days rest a number of times this season compared to 12 times he started games. Of his 15 starts, 12 times, 6 days rest or more. So they have been very careful with him coming off of Tommy John surgery. And we had talked about that last week when we started to hear about the Phillies kicking the tires on Noah Syndergaard. I was all for that trade because I didn't think you'd have to give up a lot. They ended up giving up Mickey Moniak, who it seems like just wasn't going to work out here in Philadelphia, and they had to give up another prospect to go along with him as well. But you're getting a guy that at least, in worst case scenario, will compete for that third starter's job. Right now, he's going to battle Ranger Suarez. He's going to battle Kyle Gibson. You have still, regardless if he's your third starter or your fifth starter, you have upgraded your rotation. So if you look over the moves that they have made, the 3 players that they have acquired without giving up a huge king's ransom, if you will, they have gotten basically a future center fielder, a guy that will hopefully develop into a guy, I'll let you hear from Dave Dombrowski, a guy that hopefully will correct his swing in Brandon Marsh, a guy that already comes in here as a very good defensive center fielder. You're also bringing in a guy in David Robertson that automatically makes your bullpen better. And then you're bringing in a starting pitcher like Noah Syndergaard, who will essentially, in worst-case scenario, bump Bailey Falter out of the starting rotation. Then the sugar on top. Then what a lot of people got excited about. DFAing Odubel Herrera and Yaris Familia. Yaris Familia. DFAing those 2 players made a lot of people happy. Now, as I told you guys yesterday, I was on Fox 29 after the show. I'll be on Fox 29 again today after the show. I could not have been more pessimistic looking at Dave Dombrowski and how he was going to approach this trade deadline. Could not have been more pessimistic. But lo and behold, he goes out there and he makes moves that I believe are significant moves. After making these significant moves, you can start talking about what it's like to maybe get Gene Segura back in the lineup tomorrow. what it'll be like to get Bryce Harper back 2 to 3 weeks from now, which the Phillies believe he will be back. Dave Dombrowski said yesterday, Rob Thompson followed it up as well, talking about how Bryce Harper is already taking workouts with the team. He's swinging a bat already, and maybe he's 2 to 3 weeks away from rejoining this ball club. Now you can talk about that with some optimism, as opposed to sitting and waiting to see what they were going to do at the deadline and say, well, hopefully they don't just look at Gene Segura and Bryce Harper coming back as their big acquisitions for the deadline. Oh, they certainly didn't. Now Gene Segura, now Bryce Harper are going to be added to a team that is already looking pretty damn good when you talk about one game for a wild card spot right now, and a team that is looking to make that push in August and September to make it back to the playoffs for the first time in over a decade. So Dave Dombrowski did his job yesterday. He made the ball club better.